Never Forever. How very appropriate that that's the next album in our Kate Bush deep dive. Or Never Ever, I hear you say that we were going to get back to the Kate Bush deep dive. Nay, I say. I just knew how important Kate Bush's 1979 album is to the discography and to the fans. And I was kind of psyching myself out a little bit getting to this album because I know how important it is. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Because if you've never been here before, you're probably like, what is she talking about? And to that, I say welcome. Hi, my name is Ayo. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ayo, the Popcorn Philosopher. Wow. And if you have been here before, welcome back. And like I said, today we are getting to Never Forever. I'm so excited, but we're going to do it differently this time. I'm going to break it up into parts just so I can go more in depth. And I'm only going to do like 1 to 3 songs per video. We can get some more background on the songs. And then the very last group of songs or song will have the full album. I'll put all the songs all together. And that way you can hear my full reaction to the album as a whole, as well as we go along, more in-depth reaction. So you're kind of getting the best of both, if that makes sense. So let's stop talking and let's start listening. Yeah. Let's do it. So the first song on Never Forever is Babooshka. It's the second song I ever heard from Kate Bush and second song I ever loved. And I kind of feel like Wuthering Heights and Babooshka are kind of like the gateway drugs of Kate Bush. So I am familiar with the song, but I've never really analyzed it before. So we're going to analyze it.
We're talking about stools.
Nice choice of words, Ayo. Tap piano. Such a catchy chord progression.
She wanted to test her husband. She knew exactly what to do. A pseudonym to fool him. She couldn't have made a worse move. She sent him scented letters, and he received them with a strange delight. Just like his wife, but how she was before the tears, and how she was before the years flew by, and how she was when she was beautiful. She sang the letter, oh yes, Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah. Oh yes, Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah.
I noticed right off the bat that I never realized before. I think at the beginning of the song, it changes key. The intro is a different key than the verse on that first chord of the verse. He has, what's the lyric? She wanted to test her husband. That changes key. Hold on a second. Let me work it out really quick. And I'm going to come back. Okay, so I worked it out. All right, I had to work it out on my MIDI keyboard. And the intro, if I'm not mistaken, is E-flat mixolydian. And then it goes to D-sharp minor, which is really interesting. We definitely don't hear that very much in pop music anymore. And I never realized that this even had a key change because it sounds so easy. It sounds so effortless. And pop music, we definitely don't hear that very much anymore. In fact, I was just listening to an episode of Switched on Pop. They were talking about how the key change has disappeared in music, and it very much has, in pop music at least. Also, the chord progression is so very catchy. That's another thing that we don't hear very much of is melodic chord changes. I'm trying to think. For some reason, the only person I can think of is Fountains of Wayne. Fountains of Wayne has a lot of great melodic chord changes. But that's what I hear right off the bat. This part is back to mixolydian.
So she arranged a place to go to see if he would follow for her incognito. And when he laid eyes,
I love the feel of this song too.
Feeling they had met before.
Really unique.
Uncanny how she
kind of cabaret too.
This little lady, capacity to give him all he needs, to
a mix
before
of
she
cabaret and
kissed
Russian.
him.
Like a
Just
Russian
like
kind
his
of-
wife when she was beautiful. He shouted out, I'm all yours. Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah. All yours. Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah. All yours. Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah. 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 Babooshka, yeah, yeah.
Babooshka,
Is that fretless bass? It is fretless bass. I never noticed that. Oh, I guess the two songs merge. I didn't realize that. But anyway, realize that all that glass breaking at the end of it. That's interesting. I wonder what the glass breaking represent. Okay, so now I was looking at Wikipedia and there's some interesting things in here. I was right about the fretless bass. It was by John Gilbin. It says significance of fretless bass sound as instrumental male partners through Bush's music in the early 80s, which I don't understand what that means. Let me know in the comments what that means. Fretless bass is supposed to represent male? I don't know. I don't get it. But that's why in Babooshka, how we get that key change, because it gives it that kind of ascension going up. I think that's probably now my favorite part of the song, that and the way that all the different parts play off of each other, you know, from that melody line, that ding, 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 dee, that, and then the way it works into the melody line that comes from the verse into the chorus melody. The whole thing really just all works together. And that really is just pop music at its best. That's what pop music should be. I love pop music that has art to it, that has just a little something extra, something different, something that really makes it stand out. Kate Bush is great with that. The Beatles, Bjork. I don't know, there's a lot of different artists, but that's my favorite kind of pop music. It says that she heard this story on a BBC special. I thought that was interesting too, because I think she said that in Wuthering Heights as well, that she had seen some TV version of Wuthering Heights on the BBC. So that's interesting. Also reference a interview, so let's listen to some of that interview.
Sharon Cripe caught up with Kate Bush in London.
Loud.
Can you tell us how you came to write Babooshka?
How I came to write it? Yes, it was really a theme that's fascinated me for some time. It's really based on a theme that's used a lot in folk songs, which is
like
where the wife of the husband begins to feel that perhaps he's not faithful. And there's no real strength in her feelings, it's just more or less paranoia, suspicions. And so she starts thinking that she's going to test him to see if he's faithful. So what she does is she gets herself a pseudonym, which happens to be Babooshka, and she sends him a letter. And he responds very well to the letter, because as he reads it, he recognises the wife that he had a couple of years ago who was happy in the letter, and so he likes it. And she decides to take him even further and get a meeting together to see how he reacts to this Babooshka lady instead of her. And when he meets her, again, because she's so similar to his wife, the one that he loves, he's very attracted to her.
It's interesting to hear how Kate describes this story, and the lyrics of Babooshka are so deft. A pseudonym to fool him? What a great couplet. And there's not a single extra lyric here. Every word tells a vivid story in such a clever way. And the first verse sets up a letter written from this woman. Since we don't know her name, she's aka Babooshka, and she signs the letter, "All yours, Babooshka," which is a common way to sign off a letter. And it's so clever that in the second verse, Kate uses "I am all yours," but this time as an exclamation from the husband when he falls for his wife's trap. And we're going to come back to the lyrics because, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, and I know she's supposed to be the villain here, but I have a lot of empathy for Babooshka.
And of course she's very annoyed, and the break in the song is really her just throwing the restaurant at him. So there's like cutlery,
Because he
vases
actually is unfaithful.
going straight across the room. No, he's not. He's not. He loves her very much. And the whole idea of the song is really the futility and the stupidness of humans, and how by our own thinking and swilling around in our own ideas, we come up with completely paranoid facts. So in her situation, she was in fact suspicious of a man who was doing nothing wrong. He loved her very much indeed. And through her own sort of suspicions and evil thoughts, she's really ruined the relationship.
Babooshka's a Russian word, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In context of the song, though, I just popped the name in because it felt right. And I presumed that I picked the name up from a fairy story or something when I was a kid. But in fact, it is a Russian word for grandmother. And that's something I didn't realise at the time.
That's different from the Wikipedia
like
article.
A
It said
really good name
BBC.
for the lady.
They're talking about the video, so we're going to watch the video in another video. But I just wanted to hear what she had to say about the actual song and the lyrics, maybe some background. I'm kind of curious. I was also looking everywhere for a later interview about the song, and I couldn't find anything. If you guys know of one, let me know, because I'm curious what she thinks about the song now. She wrote the song as a young girl, basically, or a relatively young girl. I wonder if her views about Babooshka has changed. I believe she got married. I don't know if she's still married or not, or if she got divorced or anything like that. But, you know, someone told me that she married someone in 1990s, I believe. You know, long-term relationships change over years. I didn't know reading these lyrics were gonna trigger me like this. I'm triggered! No, seriously, it feels more like Kate is siding more with the husband, but I can see both points of view. It just made me sad when I first read the lyric, how she was when she was beautiful. It made me empathize with the wife too. But the more I thought about it, it's not like Babooshka got younger when the husband falls for the trick, right? He falls for her because this is a version of his wife who desires him again. And boy, is that understandable. But I also have to wonder why she froze on him. And it makes me wonder if there's more to the story. So I decided to look up Sauvé, the folk song Kate Bush referenced. And interesting, the song is about a young woman named Sauvé, not an older woman. And Sauvé dresses up as a highwayman to test her suitor. And as the highwayman, she robs him of all his possessions. But the suitor refuses to give the disguised Sauvé a ring that Sauvé had given him earlier as a token of her love, thereby proving his devotion to her. And she confesses her plot later and gives him back his possessions, but she's like, if you had given up that ring, I would have killed you. And I'm like, damn, these old folk songs are savage. Funnily enough, Babooshka sounds less like Sauvé and more like the I Love Lucy episode called The Wig, in which Lucy tests Ricky's faithfulness by disguising herself as another woman by wearing a black wig. And in that episode, Lucy's made to feel kind of ridiculous for testing Ricky, but in real life, Desi Arnaz, who played Ricky Ricardo, famously wasn't faithful to the real-life Lucy. And maybe this is why I'm having issues with the plot. I've been lucky enough to have had some wonderful older women in my life, my grandmother, my great-grandma, and these two 70-ish-year-old women I lived with when I was in college, all four have passed away, unfortunately, and I miss having these wise women in my life. But having heard stories from these women about relationships, how they change over the years.
You had the success. The marriage looked perfect. It was everything. And then it fell apart.
That was his problem.
And I heard you were devastated.
I couldn't understand it any more than, for the same reason you're asking the question. It seemed like we had everything.
I think people still don't understand.
I don't either.
Oh, I think that's past.
It's certainly past.
I think it's past.
But we certainly did have everything and worked very hard to get it, and two beautiful children, and what else can you ask for? And I think if Desi were here right now, he would agree that it was...
Unfortunately, in relationships, you can't really change how a person is going to react to things. And not to mention, I sort of understand it myself. I'm not a jealous person by nature, but I've been in relationships where my trust was tested. I don't know, have you ever been in a relationship where you weren't sure if someone was telling you the truth or not? I just feel like this issue can be more nuanced. And like I said before, I wonder if as time has gone by, if Kate has been in that circumstance herself, or if she's known someone who's had that experience. Add this to the many questions I'd love to ask her. And not only have I not found a later interview where she discusses Babooshka, but I also couldn't find a later live performance of Babooshka. Let me know in the comments, do you know of one? Actually, I could not even find a single performance where Babooshka was performed live. The only performances I could find were performances where it was mimed to the recorded track. And that might have been because Babooshka, it feels like a live cabaret song, but it's deceiving. This song has so many textures where vocals combine with the bass and synth parts combine with the guitar parts. It's a very deliberate textured mix, and synthesizers were notoriously unpredictable back then. It would be easier to perform it live today. In fact, there's this really great live performance I found where Babooshka is sung by a younger woman representing the younger wife, an older woman representing the older wife.
She wanted to test her husband. She knew exactly what to do. Sitting in to fool him. She couldn't have made a worse move. And how she was before the years flew by. And how she was when she was beautiful. She signed the letter. All yours. Babooshka, 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 yeah, yeah.
Don't you think that would be amazing if Kate Bush did a version like that, where she basically duets with her younger self, singing with who she is today? Could you imagine? That would be incredible. Anyway, thank you for dropping by. I ended up going longer on this one than I thought I would, so I hope you enjoyed it. And so next we're going to get into Delius. I think that's how you pronounce it. Okay, don't forget to like, share. No matter how hard I try, you keep pushing me aside and I can't break through. That's my share. Yeah, share, subscribe, all of that, helps the channel. Appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, that your life is a wonderful, beautiful musical, and I hope that I get to see you next time. Popcorn Philosopher, over and out.